Hi, everybody.
We just had
A
our
visitor.
friend Junior. We were like ready to go.
Oh, and he's like, oh, it's time to jump up on the table.
So I'm Scott.
I'm John.
And we're married.
Look at us.
We're the SweetTeaNoShade knitting podcast. We are not an NFL fantasy football podcast.
Why would you ever have that idea?
Well, I'm just pointing out that that's what we're not.
Okay.
We're a knitting podcast.
Okay. I just, in case, like, the people like SweetTeaNoShade that...
They're like, oh my god, that totally sounds like an NFL fantasy football podcast.
Yes.
So, we are here. It's been a while.
It has.
But that's okay. We podcast when we can. And no thanks to your nephew.
He's got lots of ideas and lots of ideas on how to improve the podcast.
Yes, for those of you who look in the comments, our nephew Patrick, who posts under his dad's account, Lee Davis.
Right.
I apologize if anyone thinks who's this crazy person that's bugging me on there. It's our lovely nephew Patrick, who's trying to help us increase, and he's flabbergasted at how we can have like 90% female viewership on our podcast. And
right, and why would we, want...
Why wouldn't we want to even it out?
Right.
And he's a very smart boy, and he did some math, and he's like, if you had the same, if you evened your percentages out by increasing the number of male viewers, then you would have X number of viewers. And I'm like, well, we are totally fine with the viewers that we have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
So thank you, Patrick. And so this is first part of the podcast is when we typically talk about comments that we've received since the last episode, or in the comment section of the previous episode, and then we'll get into the more knitting stuff. So I will put a link in the description so you can click on it and jump to, if you want to jump past the comment section.
But why would you want to do that?
It's the most fun part of the podcast to me. But whatever. I mean,
whatever. You do what you want.
You do you. You live your best life. So, okay, so we'll start. I've organized the comments a little bit this time so that there's like a shout out section and then kind of like more specific topics.
Okay. What?
Did you want to say anything?
No,
I'm trying to make you more part of the podcast since I'm so domineering and bossy according to everybody.
Oh, that's okay. I don't need to say anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so first of all,
you know what the advantage of having a domineering partner?
I'm actually your husband. But
husband.
What's that?
Like he'll just do stuff. I don't have to worry about it. He'll just take care of it.
It's for the best. It's what the founding fathers would want.
I'm not sure about that, but it's okay.
All right, so we'll start with some shout outs. So we have a new viewer named Joe Sibley 03. He's from Montana. There's a guy's picture in the comment. And he said that Betty Ann sounds iconic. And
all in caps.
All in caps. It needs to be on your podcast immediately.
We've been trying. I tell you what, the only way she's going to be on the podcast if she doesn't know she's going to be on the podcast. So...
yeah.
That's just the way it's going to be. Someday we will ambush podcast her.
Maybe I'll start inserting pictures of her into the podcast.
Oh, she'd love that.
And then...
she'd really love that.
She would love that. Without her permission.
Without her permission.
I'll be like, Mom, everybody... I mean, my mother is beautiful. I mean, she's almost 70, and she's beautiful, and everybody talks about how beautiful she is, and she doesn't look her age. And whatever. I'm not going to get on that train. Anyway, so thank you, Joe Sibley, for watching. Our BFF Cody, Nurse Cody, commented, and it's always good to hear what is up with Cody and his dog Diamond. He said, y'all better leave my Betty Ann be. She is nothing less than a sweet, kind-hearted, loving woman who would never have a harsh word to say. And then he said, at least without a bless your heart first.
No, that sounds more like Betty Ann.
Yeah. And then Pepper Ann is a viewer, and she's got an Etsy shop called the Pepper Patch Store. And so she's recently opened it. She sells project bags, and I want you to go out and look at them because they're like, right now I'm thinking she's got like a Halloween theme going on. Okay. There's like all kinds of spooky stuff and skulls and it's really, really cool stuff. Maggie Grace Razor, R-A-S-O-R, said that, or she wants to know if you're an accountant. Because you always figure out how long things are going to take and calculate the math and all that. It's
I am
so hilarious because math makes John cry.
But data makes me happy.
Oh, that's true.
I love data. I hate math.
You don't like math for math's sake.
No, but I like data. So
good point.
Whatever that means.
And she said that she's Lakota, and so I'm curious if Maggie, if you live in this area or if you live in another part of the country, but she says she's Lakota and that she has a saying that's doksha. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, doksha or doksha. It sort of means whenever. So she said, my mom explained it like this: people on the reservation didn't have a concept of time other than right then. So then they would ask to borrow something and say, I'll pay you back payday doksha, like whenever. So I'm gonna have to start using that. And then Susanna Warner, who's a faithful viewer and commenter, said that last episode she only had one moment in the podcast where she had to yell at the screen and say, "Get on with the point."
Only one. That might be a record.
Yeah. So then Flower Child is another. Though she's the one that I always think is Floor Clyde when I look at it. Flower Child. Oh, sorry, I'm just scanning through here. She's also on a sock marathon addiction. Oh, and she's doing Afterthought Heels. Oh, and she said she had a love-hate relationship with her Addy 9-inch circulars, but she purchased the Chow Goo and loved them. So that is true. I also tried the Addy, and I mean, I don't know. I know the cord is something that people really talk about loving with the Chow Goo, which is true. I love it.
Because the Addies are just plastic?
See, I don't know. I don't know what
all the Chow Goos are metal with plastic around it, right?
I don't know.
I'm thinking yes. I feel some.
Are those Chow Goos?
Sure.
I don't know. It looks like it.
Yeah, right. It's like a flexible metal.
Yeah. So anyway, she's a fellow 9-inch circular person, and then. She said, your yarn at the end of the podcast would make great hats. I'm thinking that was that Romanian yarn.
Yep.
And there's several comments about that we'll talk about in a minute. Jennifer Howell commented, she said, one of my top knitting and life podcasts to enjoy, which I thought was kind of fun. And then Nancy Johnston commented that she said she lived in Winnipeg and my husband takes me to the festival every year for her birthday.
Oh.
So I don't know if she went. I know that there was someone on Instagram, I think it was, that commented and said, oh my gosh, I was there a different day. So I don't know if that was her. But yeah, so we'll talk about our trip to the
Manitoba Fiber Festival in Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg. We had a great time. And then Jane Barrell said, oh, Jane Barrell is the one who talked about the, oh, now I'm getting myself confused. I think she was the one that pointed out the sweater vest that had the mosaic knitting in it.
Oh, yeah.
So, and Jane, if I'm sorry, if I'm wrong, I'll go back and figure that out. I apologize. I might be getting you. But you said the project is called Andy's Tank Top, but the one that I think we were talking about was actually called Nate. But anyway, I'll sort that out. But speaking of that, I did want to mention that I think Jane was the one who had offered to actually send me her book, but I actually found it online on Amazon, I think it was, and I was able to purchase it and it came. And so it's an old book, but I reached out to Jane Ellison, who was the knitwear designer, or the designer, and she didn't respond back. I'm sure she's very busy. So to ask her if I could purchase the pattern I was interested in separately, but I'm actually glad that I bought this book because it's got a lot of really cool stuff in it. Mm-hmm. I think there are still copies out there that you can buy. if you guys are interested. And I know that I don't think Mirasol is around anymore as a company. But there were several of these that were released. And I haven't read, there's a section at the beginning called, The Mirasol Project, a scheme to improve the disadvantaged children in Peru.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I don't know the whole story, I'll be honest, but,
I feel like I've seen that. Is that Shindu Yarn?
Maybe?
I feel that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, but, so anyway, the pattern that I'm going to knit, and I think I'm going to knit it sooner than later, and actually I might try to insert a picture rather than holding it up, but it's the gray one, oh, not that one, this one, and I don't know if you can really see that well, but it's basically, it's kind of it's a color work, slip stitch color work pattern, which is mosaic knitting, and I just really I will probably do it in more vibrant colors than this.
Oh, that's cool. It's got a, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, but yeah, this has several men's patterns in it. Like that's a cool sweater pullover. And actually, you guys can't see it, so I'm not going to do that right now. But anyway, the Mirasol Collection Book 5, and it's the Mate sweater vest is the one I think I'm going to do next. So, but it's got a lot of stuff. Men's sweaters and stuff in it, which I think is cool. So, in fact, it has a sweater that's a hoodie, so
nice.
That's kind of fun. Oh, sorry, my eye itches. Okay. So then there was several comments about the ideas for your yarn.
Yes.
Several people had said, hey, why don't you just do like a reverse lookup or a lookup on Ravelry?
Yeah.
I'm going to scoot back because I feel like I'm looking behind me to see you.
Okay. I'm a little behind you. So I've got the knitting in my lap.
All right. So,
yeah, I did that and I found some cool ideas and I kind of went down a rabbit hole with that and I think I figured out what I'm going to do.
Okay. What did you decide on?
There's a, I think it's in my queue. There's this sort of Afghan blanket pattern that's done, you knit a strip, right, like this. So you knit. Then you turn like this. You turn like that, knit, and then go down, and then sort of.
Oh, right. It's like a spiral.
It goes like a spiral,
but it's
except
like a
square spiral.
Yeah.
And what I'm excited about is so it's pretty. So it's short. So it's short. It would be like pretty fast to do, and then I'm going to teach myself how to backwards knit doing it.
Right.
Because for the short rows, the backwards knitting is really easy.
Right. And backwards knitting
is super weird, but I've looked at some tutorials.
Very Pink Knits does one, right?
Yep. There are a couple out there, and it's one of those things
it's not the same thing as knitting inside out, and it's not the same thing as unknitting.
So what you do is it's closer to tinking, but what you do is you knit one row, taking your stitches from right to left, and then the next row you move them from. Well, you do that anyway.
Yeah, so people are good.
It just means you don't have to turn the work around. That's the difference. So you don't have to. So you go from right to left, and then normally you'd go so you're doodle and go doodle, right, and then you turn your work around so it's backwards. In this one, you don't turn it around. You just knit it back.
Okay.
And it's really weird, and the stitches are really odd, but it looks cool. I've done some practicing, and I think it'll be fun.
Cool. All right. Well, so,
and so the other thing about that is I think it'll be a good way to use up, because it's you can just throw in yarn wherever, and I don't think there's enough yarn in there to do a whole Afghan, but I was going to supplement it with like a lot of the stash yarn we have.
Okay, so Andrea Jones had suggested maybe a throw for the couch. Leslie Arnold Hopkins said it would be good learn to crochet yarn for a small blanket. Have you ever been interested in learning to crochet?
Kind of. I can crochet chain. I can do a single chain, so I've done that.
For provisional cast-ons?
No. So when I worked for Interact, there was a artist there. So Interact is a place I used to work. It's a center for artists with disabilities. And one of the artists there wanted to learn how to crochet. So I tried to teach myself to crochet by myself. And I learned to make chains.
Oh, that's right. And you couldn't get past that.
I
remember you telling me
I was like, what do you do? I was trying to like, you do the double stuff. And so what I could do was make really nice chains. So I can do provisional. I can do provisional cast on.
Yeah.
But
So knitting was not a thing in my family. Crocheting was a huge thing in my family. Like my grandmother probably crocheted 100 Afghans.
Yeah.
During my life.
And what I mean, it's interesting. So what I hear about crocheting is people say it's faster than knitting.
Well, I think it's faster. I don't know if that's true or not. I think it's faster. I think that has more to do with the weight of the yarn that they use. Because I don't even want to start talking about this because my knowledge is so small that I'm going to say something and people are going to be like, that's not true. So, yeah. So, I mean, I've knit an Afghan or two. Sorry, crocheted an Afghan or two. But yeah, I like to crochet. Once I found knitting, I haven't gone back to crocheting. But the other thing is that I like the look of stuff that's knitted for garments and hats and scarves and stuff rather than crochet.
Right.
So then Leslie, I just said that one. Eileen, aka Little Bush Baby, had said something about the Enchanted Mesa sweater.
Yeah.
That's a Stephen West pattern. I've not heard of that one.
I have not,
So
but I could take a gander.
Then Bethany Rich said a mitered square throw or blanket, which is you've probably not seen that before. It's it's a thing that people do. The mitered square blanket is something that people do a lot to use up their scraps.
Okay.
Yeah, she said with coordinating purple to alternate square colors, which I actually think that would be...
Oh, is that the miters? So basically you do these squares. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people doing that. Yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah. And then Local Knots and Stitches by Living Dread Girl.
Okay.
Who I think she had a podcast or has a podcast. That's Locks, Knots, and Stitches. You can hold the yarn double and knit a cat or dog bed. And then, yeah, so there was somebody else who had commented, I can't remember, I guess I didn't copy it into my thing here, but there was someone who had said something about, you said it was Romanian yarn, but the label was in German. That is true. It said it was made in Romania. The language on the label was German. So, I don't know.
I wonder if it's just because if you want to sell it, it'd be easier, more people...
Yeah, I don't know.
Speak German and can read German than Romanian? I don't know.
Don't know much about that part of the world. Alright, so then there was Karen Mason had said something about the laddering on John's mittens.
Oh my god. So, we will talk about this when I get to my hip. My half-in project.
Half-o.
But yeah, so I had mentioned that I was having laddering, so I'm doing these gloves and these mittens in magic loop, and so having laddering along like the one edge. And her suggestion was to sort of, after you finish a row, to transfer stitches to the other needle on the open side. And what did you say exactly?
She said,
end of each row.
Yeah, go ahead.
I moved 22 stitches, which I have worked.
She moves 2 stitches.
2 stitches.
Not 22.
2 stitches, 2 stitches, which I have worked to the unworked needle and then slipped them. So this moves my starting place, which stops the laddering. So that makes total sense. I'm gonna do this starting the colorwork section of the second mitten. So I'm gonna give that a try. Because I do that when I do magic loop. I do that with the other side. I keep moving where the break is, so you don't get laddering there.
Yeah.
So
I'll be interested to see how that.
Yeah, it sounds.
Works.
It sounds a little like you have to be. I would think.
Well, at some point you'll, because on the magic loop you're knitting this side and then you flip it around, you're knitting that side, and like.
Yeah,
you're gonna be like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean it'd be
fun to try.
Yeah, I think it could be done. I think it'd be done. And I mean, again, it's like with the other side, I only move like 1 or 2 stitches, so it's not easy to remember where your breaks are.
Well, and you can use a stitch marker for
Yep.
that. All right. So then the next section is for my new cult that I've started. You okay?
Yeah.
My new cult that I've started.
The 9-inch circular
the
cult.
9-inch circular cult. I've got some new 9-inch circular cult members. I've got Shauna Bornman.
You could do like a golden bull's head, but with 9-inch circulars with the antlers for the horns.
Like the awl?
Like the golden calf.
Okay. Yeah, you always take everything to the extreme, don't you? Sylvie Leclerc. I knitted my first pair of socks in March this year and cannot stop on a 9-inch circular. Diving Anyone, which I thought was Devigne. Working on a sweater sleeve using a 9-inch Haya. That's the one with the light blue clear cable, which I had referenced, I think, last episode and couldn't remember the brand. Once she got comfortable holding the tiny needles. So, I'm working on a sweater vest right now. I'm not working on a sweater.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I get to a sweater that has sleeves, I'm going to remember that because everybody just really talks about how much they hate knitting sleeves. Not everybody, a lot of people are like, oh my god, it's so boring. To me, it's like a really long sock, except that you also have decreases. Why are you blinking that way?
A really long sock, that's amazing. It sounds amazing. I would love to do that.
Well, I would. As someone who loves to knit socks, I'm excited about that. So anyway, I had not thought about doing that with 9-inch circulars, but I'm going to do that. Oh, here it is. And again, I don't know how to pronounce this YouTube thing. Hakeles 79. The yarn that you said was Romanian, the label you read was in German. That is true. And then she loves the colors in your Doodler.
Yay!
It's been on her to knit list forever, but can't decide on the yarn. And then she said, when you rule the world and make everyone use 9-inch circulars, I'll lead a secret underground rebel movement that still uses DPNs.
Nice.
She's just letting me know. Just giving you a heads up.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, the next comment, which is the last comment that I grabbed for our discussion, is about socks.
Okay.
And so, if it's okay with you, I'll let that lead into our first knitting content thing, which is my socks.
That sounds like a very good segue.
All right.
Awesome.
So, I am... So this is it's an older Mrs. Jones bags.
Brown?
Mrs. Brown's bag. Who's Mrs. Jones? Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears. That's
Mrs. Jones is my first grade teacher.
Oh, I was about to say so was mine, but mine was Mrs. Lee.
Okay.
Anyway.
She was very nice.
Aren't all first grade teachers pretty nice? Do you think there are any first grade teachers that are just horrifying? There probably were, like, in the 60s.
I don't know. I knew a lot of people who I knew as grown-ups who were going to elementary ed, and I'm like, oh my god.
So these socks that I'm doing, I'm using... Oh my gosh, what a disaster, Scott. I'm using this yarn, which is Regia Design Line, and it's Arnie and Carlos. I don't remember where I picked it up. I think actually I picked it up at Knit and Bolt, which is in North Minneapolis here. But it's blue with different shades in it. And so, got them on my 9-inch circulars here. But I've completed one. It did not take me very long. And actually, I think this is a vanilla sock. And I think I found... Oh. So here is... I found my sock blockers. Here is the first sock, and it's a vanilla sock, like I said, and we need better lighting next time, I think, maybe. I don't know, maybe it's the TV screen we're looking at, but anyway.
Or we could change, we've got a light bulb out over there.
Oh, that's true. So, another one?
No, it's one we know about already.
Okay. So I've got an end I need to weave in here. What I did was, it's the Rose City Rollers pattern, but I knit the leg and then added a cuff. So it's, because I love the heel and heel flap and gusset heel on the Rose City Rollers pattern, and then it's got a rounded toe. But I really like that pattern, so I love it. It fits amazingly. I actually like the fit of the heel flap and gusset heel better than the afterthought heel fit. Although the afterthought heel is pretty good. But one of the things I wanted to ask the group is, I did a 2x2 rib. I tried to do a 1x1 twisted rib, and I've heard discussions about twisted rib and how it looks professional, it looks nice, and and I've heard that it doesn't cinch in as much.
Not as springy.
Not as springy, but when I did it, it was like a flower that had deflated. It was like it didn't cinch up it was just like this. So I don't know, and so as far as I know, a twisted rib is you purl one, and then knit one through the back loop. Purl one, knit one through the back loop, and that's twisted, 1x1 twisted rib. So I don't know if others have found that, or if I just did it wrong, but I'm like, I would never do this for a cuff or anything, but people do, and it looks good, so I don't know what I did. But anyway, and so I'm this far on my second one, and I've dropped a stitch, I can see.
Oh no.
What I've started doing is John tends to fall asleep faster than I, or sooner than I do. So I've got this little light. It's like a reading lamp that I've latched onto the headboard of the bed, and then I listen to my audiobook and knit a sock while I'm trying to get sleepy. And John's snoring.
I'm not snoring much.
So, well, John only ever snores or does this weird thing where he doesn't breathe. And it's not like sleep apnea doesn't breathe. It's like he's breathing, but you can't hear anything. It's creepy as hell.
Some dainty.
Yeah. Okay, so I just fixed my drop stitch. So it's just, vanilla sock. Speaking of sock, I've got to talk about this comment first. So Cheryl Headland said that she likes her 2x2 rib more elastic and holds up better than 1x1 rib. She said, I like the look of twisted rib, but it's definitely not as springy as regular rib. And she said that she likes the 9-inch circulars, but still likes DPN 2s, have not tried the Eddie Flexi flips. And someone had asked me about why I didn't like the Flexi flips. Because I think I talked about this before, but basically I find the 9-inch circulars faster, and the Flexi flips, because you get 3 needles and they're like long DPNs with a little bit of cord in the middle, and they were very awkward. I felt like there was extra needle in the way all the time, kind of like with DPNs, but I just didn't find a benefit to them. Now, having said that, I could see that I might like them with a hat.
Okay.
But the needles that I had were, I think, size 0 that my mom bought me, which is the size needle I knit my size 0, which is, I don't know what that is, 2.25 millimeters, something like that. The size that my mom had bought me. The other thing is that I'm going to try a pair of pattern socks next, because Baba Yaya, whose name is... I can't remember. Because I think of her as Baba Yaya, which is like what her kids call her. Her grandkids. Anyway, she gifted us a sock pattern.
Okay.
Her pattern, sock pattern. So that will be coming up in a future episode after I finish this sock, which shouldn't take me too long. So yeah, I'm loving those, and that's one of my projects on the go.
Great.
And I do have DPNs in my bag here with my needles, because I will switch to DPNs for the toes.
Nice.
Well, yeah.
For the heel,
for the toe
and the heel flap and gusset. You need
the heel flap and gusset. That's what I need it for. You're right. I know there's a way to do it on the small. I don't know how to do that. Okay, John, do you want to talk about something?
I will. I will talk about my mitten. So, or should I wait? No, I'll go ahead and do it. And we can
and then we can move into the Fiber Festival.
So anyway, this is my mitten. It is... There's the back.
Had you finished it last episode?
No, I was
Pull the top part back a little bit. So the light shows. There you go.
So there's the top.
Yeah.
And here's the palm. And then there's the thumb. And there's the Manitoba maple leaf. Let me get the pattern out because I'm not going to remember.
That would be your model.
Yeah, that'd be great. The Manitoba maple mitten by Harvey. So yeah, I finished it. I finished knitting it about a week ago, and then I finished doing the weaving stuff in. Of course, I found out like a couple of days ago that I had 2 drop stitches on the thumb, so I had to fix that. But yeah, I really like it. It was a fantastic pattern to do.
Oh, it's so soft.
It's so soft. I love the colors.
It's soft, but it's grippy.
So the purple is copper corgi, I think eggplant, worsted. This is just a cascade gray worsted.
I thought it was a sports sock.
Sure.
Her sports
sports sock. Yeah. But I could actually look at the thing and see what it says. I think Savannah Sport.
Savannah Sport. That's what she calls that.
No, this is Jones Street worsted.
Oh, never mind.
We're all wrong. So this was eggplant and this was nutmeg, or fig and nutmeg, I think. Oh, this is fig, and this is nutmeg, and then the main color, I guess, because the big contrast is just this cascade, a simple cascade gray. So anyway, very excited about this. My first pair of mittens. Again, I think the pattern is just so cool, and I loved this side a lot. This sort of just more, I don't say vanilla, but just sort of the checkerboard pattern and stuff like that was really fun to knit. So yeah, and as I mentioned, I'm knitted inside out, so this is actually the right hand pattern knit inside out, which was in the left hand, and then I'm starting on the left hand pattern, which will go on the right hand. So I'm trusting it and letting it happen and not worrying about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then so here's where I am with the next cuff. So the cuff's done, the decrease rows are done, so I'm about to start the color work again. And I have a drop stitch, but that's okay. So yeah, and I'll just sort of show you what the yarns look like. Oh, I don't have the cuff I've already put up. So this is what the purple is, and this is what the gray is. So I like this a lot, and I'm very excited. I think I may have this ready to wear for winter. So yeah.
Cool.
It's my huafa, or hip half work in project.
So, John, tell them about the Instagram and all that.
Oh, so the way I found this pattern, this is a good segue into our next thing, is that we went to the Manitoba Fiber Festival last week, and they had this makers forum where they had a bunch of designers create patterns. Basically, I think they did a mood board or something like that.
They did, yeah.
And and so they had a bunch of designers create patterns, especially for the Fiber Festival, and this was one of them. And so they were doing this thing where if you posted on Ravelry and on Instagram, they would do a random drawing of the whips and finished objects, and you would get a prize. And I won one of the Instagram prizes.
Yes. So
thank you, Mandy Moons, who on Instagram, who we actually met there.
Yeah, that was fun.
And
she's like, John?
But yeah, it was really fun, and so yeah, I won.
So let's look.
So we can look at the prizes.
What you won. Yeah, because the we'll be inserting the video that we took on our trip. But here, so yeah, that's the one that you won.
So we won this. So I got into the festival for free, and got this handy tote bag.
I love their logo.
That says Manitoba Fiber Festival with a little button. And we got this. Is this it?
Yeah.
So they had a special colorway, dyed up a skein of that, which is Manjusa Fiber Arts. And she's from Manitoba, and her name is Tammy Ivanko, and it's called, it's a merino and nylon, and the colorway is Manitoba MBFF 2018 custom color. Gaia, I think, might be I'm not sure.
Well, and there's also MB
Sheep Thrill.
Sheep Thrill, and I don't know if that's the base.
The base, I don't know. That could be the base, I don't know. But it's really pretty. And I like the pink and the gray.
Yeah, so there's like a teal blue, a peach yellow, and a kind of a mauvey pink.
Yeah. So yeah. Very nice. Don't know what I'll do with it. So then, okay, then we have all the other stuff. And I also got these stitch markers from Sunflower Knit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think wasn't Sunflower Knit the booth that Mandy was standing in when we walked up to her?
So there's 3 stitch markers handmade with citrine and peridot, which I don't know what that is. Peridot.
And citron. Those are gemstones.
Oh.
But I don't know if they're real. I don't know if that's real. It could be.
I have no idea. So those are cute. And then got a card that says "You Rock." It's got glitter everywhere now. And then I got this gauge measurer, which I like because it has I always like it's got the inches. It has inches and centimeters, and then also the needle size, but only in millimeters.
It doesn't have the U.S. sizes, which is fine. Why should it?
Right, exactly. I mean, when in Canada, do Canadian.
So it was like freezing cold when we were there. Not really.
Not really, but
they're a month ahead of us, I think, as far as the season goes, as far as the temperature, it seemed like. So it was highs in the low 60s, lows in...
Oh, and I also got a digital pattern of my choice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was the one where I got the wheat hat. So
it's not wheat.
What did I say?
Well, it sounded like you said weed.
Wheat.
Weed hat.
Wheat.
That's different.
Yes. So anyway, that was really fun.
So yeah, so we'll insert some video here. Hi everyone.
Hello.
So we're in Canada, and John just about created an international incident. Oh, please don't kill us.
As I tend to do when we cross borders.
Don't kill us. Okay.
I'm not killing us. Good Lord.
So, first things first, we don't know what a kilometer is, so there's that. We don't know how far anything is. Second of all, John got distracted by the attractiveness of the border guard.
So I don't know what's going on, but every time we've crossed the border into Canada, we've had surprisingly attractive border guards.
Yes.
This guy was dreamy.
I think everybody in Canada must be hot.
Yeah.
So he asked us where we were going, and we said Winnipeg. And then he said, "What are you going to do in Winnipeg?" And I'm thinking, John, please just say shopping or touristy stuff. John says, "We're going to a fiber festival."
But I can't lie, I'm under oath.
Under oath.
Wait, is that kilometers or miles? I don't know what's going on.
Stop yelling.
Sorry.
87 kilometers. I don't know what that means.
No, it's got to be miles.
Why would they have it in miles? It's
because of the
87
Yankee
kilometers.
pig dogs coming over the bar.
No, it's 50 miles.
Really?
Yeah.
That was further than that.
No. We went up here for a day. Okay, I'm cutting all this out. We went up here for a day. Like a day trip. It's like 2 hours from Grand Forks.
Okay.
Okay, so I had to explain to John what a kilometer was. What were we talking about?
What's the speed limit?
Oh yeah, what's the speed limit?
Like I'm going 115 kilometers per hour.
Slow down, you're gonna kill us.
Well, it's 70.
Just kidding. So, Shit, what were we talking about? Oh, so back to the story. John says, we're going to a fiber festival. And the border guard's like, what the F? He didn't say that.
He looks
like,
very suspicious.
What's a fiber festival? So John said, it's yarn and sheep. Somehow they didn't pull us out of the car and put us in prison.
Right.
So we realized we hadn't been in, or then he asked us when's the last time we were in Canada. And
we had to think about that for a little
bit. We
bit.
both think it was when we went to Glacier National Park 3 years ago.
Right.
So, yeah. So we're on our way to the Manitoba Fiber Festival, if we haven't already said that. We're about an hour away from Winnipeg. And
do they use hours up here?
No, they have this different time system. They have les heures, les minutes. Okay, well, we will check back in later. Bye.
We're here.
We're here. We're at the Manitoba Fiber Festival.
Scary.
In Winnipeg, Manitoba.
I'm worried they're not going to take our money.
Well,
luckily I have a free pass, but you'll have to wait outside.
John is a grand prize winner. We'll talk about that at some point. Gosh, I have such bags under my eyes today. So it's 5:45, and it
started 45 minutes ago.
It's acting like it's super, like, dark.
Yeah.
You can tell we're further north.
Yeah.
So we checked into our hotel, and now we're getting ready to go. I have no idea what we're going to do right now. Like, I have no idea what's about to happen.
I have no idea. I'm excited, though. I'm excited yet scared. Okay.
Bye. To the Manitoba Fiber Festival. Should be interesting.
It's like the state fairgrounds, sort of.
Sort of. Oh, I'm startling him. Sorry. So, John.
What?
Do you feel like you're in the Canadian version of the birds?
I know. It's terrifying. They're all going to kill
many
us.
geese at the same time. It's almost like we're in Canada or something. Okay, it's day 2. Are you excited?
Got my bag.
And show me your wristband. Got a winter wristband.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Okay, we survived the Manitoba Fiber Festival.
Barely.
Barely. We didn't spend all of our... Well, spending Canadian money is like... It's like pretend, because it's like...
Well, so two things.
It doesn't look like American money.
Right, two things.
So when you exchange it, it feels like it's not real money anymore.
So we're in a Tim Hortons drive-thru right now.
We're in the Tim Hortons drive-thru because you have to go to Tim Hortons when you're in Canada, because they're every 5 feet. We have them in Minnesota now, but it's
so
not
we
the
were
same.
we were very restrained with our yarn buying.
We were good.
Yeah, we were good. I mean, we got stuff
I
we
wanted to
liked.
buy a fleece, but I'm convinced that... Well, first of all, I don't know what I would do with a fleece. It would sit in a closet
I'm pretty sure
somewhere.
we'd be stopped at the border and thrown in jail.
Yeah.
So...
So the other thing is we're on our way, after we get something at Tim Hortons, we're on our way to Winners because... So we know of Winners because we got obsessed with Canadian... What was it called?
Project Runway Canada.
Project Runway Canada, which instead of Heidi Klum, it was...
Iman.
Iman. which was amazing. And so the people who won got internship or something, or
right, or
collaboration or whatever
yeah.
at Winners, and we're like, what the hell is Winners? So it's I guess it's a Canadian department store, and there's one on our way back to our hotel, so we have to stop at Winners. And so
right.
it's probably just like a Gaffer's or...
yeah, so literally we've chosen Winners over the Canadian Human Rights Museum.
No, we're going to the Canadian Human Rights Museum. We are. We're going to go to Winners. Going to go to Tim Hortons and then Winners. And we'll show our yarn later.
Yay, bye.
Yay, bye. So, hope you liked that video. I have no idea. I don't remember what it was or what video we took, so I will have inserted that.
Right.
But I'll show you guys what we bought. Or we will show you what we bought, if we can remember who bought what.
So I bought... Here, I'll get... That's mine. And
that one's mine.
Okay.
Oh, and then this one's mine.
And then... Wait. And this one's mine. Okay.
Okay. So, all right.
We kind of managed to not buy everything, which I'm very proud of us.
Which was really difficult because of the way that the exchange rate is right now. It's a lot more in our favor. Mm-hmm. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So do you want to talk about yours first?
So I got both of mine from one booth, which is called Dye For You. DYEFOREWE. And they've got an Etsy shop. Dye For You, and this is called, she had a whole thing of book yarns, book-based yarns, and I'm like, oh, it's like you made these for me. And this is called Don't Forget Your Towel, which is, of course, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So I really...
What's the joke there? I remember I read the book, but it's been a while.
So, like, the idea is that if you're a towel is the most useful thing you can have. You can use it as a pillow, you can use it to dry off. So don't ever forget your towel when going on. So I like it. I'm interested to see like what this will pool up to, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's
because it's got a speckle section.
Right. And it's got
with
this
pinks,
kind
of a neon-y pink and greens.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So it's really pretty. And then the gray and then
so do you think that maybe is color? Where do you think those colors came from?
What do you
like?
mean?
Well, it's Don't Forget Your Towel. So do you think it's referencing the Hitchhiker's Guide cover art or something of the book?
I don't know.
I mean, because isn't it? It's a smiley face.
Yeah, but the smiley face is green.
Oh.
The smiley face is very, very green. I mean, this seems like this could be like outer space.
Yeah.
I should have asked her because she probably would have told me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the first one I got.
And it doesn't have to.
No, I love the. I just love the colors on that. And then the other one I got, same place, and this is called, this is a fingering weight yarn. I think these are both fingering weight. And this is called Gunsmoke and Leather Saddles. And
they're both 80% merino, 20% nylon.
And so this one is, so she had these yarns and then had, I don't know if you can really see the different.
Yeah, if you hold it still for a minute, do what you were doing, where you're like that, yeah, and hold it the bottom forward so there's as much light on there. There you go.
Okay. So this, she had these like examples of socks she did up with each of these skeins, so you can see what it would knit up like, and this would have this really kind of blue.
There's our wristband.
And this is, so this would knit up with a really nice stripe.
Oh, okay, it's self-striping.
Self-striping, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I like the colors on those. So
all right, and then I bought. It was funny because what we did was we walked around to every booth and then we went back, like to the ones that we were gonna buy. You know, that really caught our eye.
Yeah.
And so
I wish I'd bought the onion skin stuff. Now looking back on it, they had a couple of booths where they had just doing like all natural dyes, and they had yarn that was dyed with onion skins. And
it was a beautiful color.
It's beautiful, and
because you were gonna knit the wheat hat out of that.
Yeah, yeah. But then,
so
yeah, I was, you know, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but you know,
we were trying to be an inexpensive vacation, so because we've got other plans coming up. So, this is I was in this. So this is
that's the person who did the colorway.
Fiber Arts who did the custom colorway.
Yeah.
So I kept looking at this colorway. It's called Fall For You. Mm-hmm. And it's 80/20 and it's 115 grams, 420 yards, which is actually kind of a heavy sock yarn. But anyway, I looked at this this colorway and was like, oh my god, I love that. And then I turned around and I was like, oh, I love this even more, and it was the same colorway. So I'm like, okay, I guess that means I need to buy that. So it's got golds and reds and such and purples in it, but then there's also this kind of like neon-y green chunk in the middle. But yeah, these will be socks probably. Love them, love it. And then I wanted to buy lots more of this, but I was again trying to.
Well, and then the other thing that happened, which is unfortunate, is so because it's small, it's all sort of artisan, small businesses. So a bunch of them didn't take credit cards.
Right.
Which I totally get because credit cards are expensive. So there's actually these 2 skeins of wool I really wanted to buy, but they didn't take credit cards. And then I think on the last day when we were finding our final round, I think the cash machine had been completely tapped out, so we couldn't.
Neither of the ATMs were working anymore.
Yeah, so that was just, be planful.
Yeah, and I didn't think they'd take US dollars, so.
Yeah.
So then there's so this is from Blossom and Fern.
Oh, that's right, they had the beautiful display,
She had a beautiful display. Oh, there's something in here. Oh, that's right, there's some little stitch markers. She wrapped up the yarn in this tissue paper, it was beautiful. Her booth was beautiful. But it's MCN, which is merino cashmere nylon. It's 20% cashmere. And I don't even remember, I don't have the price, but in the United States, this could be like a $40 skein of yarn.
Right.
It was not $40.
No, and
I want to say it was like $22 American or something like that. It was so affordable. I could not even believe it, and that's why I wanted to buy a lot more. She had very muted color, a very muted color palette, which was beautiful. So I bought this as kind of a tan color, but what I wanted to ask, I'm assuming it's safe to knit socks even though it's got cashmere in it. And some people might say, oh my god, that's so indulgent to...
Doesn't cashmere have the issue where it has no... It's like alpaca where it's just it doesn't have a lot of... Yeah.
Well,
is that, or did I make that up?
I don't know. But because it's 70% merino, you don't have that issue.
Okay, just get the...
But it's noticeably softer than like an 80% nylon, or 80% or 80% merino, 20% nylon. It's beautiful. And so anyway, my plan was to make socks out of it just because why not?
Right.
And super luxurious. But I was wondering if I have to worry about anything with that. Her wool, whatever she washed it with, it smells super good. So that's what we bought at the Fiber Festival.
And they also had fleeces for sale because it was really all about like kind of the whole process of creating fiber. So there
were a lot of spinners.
They had like spinning circles, and they actually had sheep shearing, which you'll probably have already seen, and they had like these fleeces for sale in these big bags, like so literally fresh off the sheep, and we were really tempted to buy one, but I was a little worried about what would happen when we went across the border and said we had a fleece.
We already confused the poor border guards because they're
Fiber Festival.
Why are 2 dudes like, what did you bring back? Yarn.
And they're like, what? Are you sure it's on a flat screen TV back there?
Are you sure it's not like prescription drugs and alcohol?
Right, oxycodone and vodka. No, and so I was like, oh, I feel like, we probably could have asked someone, but
about what? I'm sorry.
Bringing fleece across the border. Yeah. But it sort of ties into one of those things that at some point I'd like to do the whole buy a fleece, clean a fleece, card a fleece, spin a fleece, and make something out of it.
Yeah, and I know for those of you that have done that, you're probably like, oh my god, you don't even know what you're getting yourself into, blah blah blah. But it's like kind of like, well. why not?
Yeah, I mean, to me, like that, it seems like
you have to sit in a hurry or something.
Right. If we did that, we'd never get anything done. But I feel like, you know, one of the things that I love about knitting, especially, you know, is you get to make something that's custom yours, right?
It's well done,
nice.
Isn't it?
So you get to pick the colors, you get to pick the type of yarn. You know, obviously you work from a pattern, because we're not quite to the point where we design our own patterns yet.
We'll never be.
Yeah,
At least me.
I'm a little in awe of that. But I think like the whole spinning and dyeing and stuff like that would be a really kind of cool thing to try to figure out.
Yeah, for sure.
So
we had a wonderful time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to mention.
That wasn't in our...
Do we have funny stories? We did go to other parts of... I'd been to Winnipeg before.
Yeah.
We went to other parts of it, like the
We had butter poutine.
Butter chicken poutine.
Butter chicken poutine. That was really good.
There was a restaurant attached to our hotel, which was the Elephant and the Crown.
Right.
Which was a pub. And we ate there twice because it was so darn good.
And here's how you know that you were over 40 in traveling. Is that what we did is we had 2 nights in Winnipeg, and both nights just like we had dinner, and then like one night we went to the pool and hung out there, and the next night it's like, let's just go to the hotel and watch TV.
Yeah.
So
we had these idea about going out and partying, and
that just made me tired thinking about it.
Yeah.
So
we had a good time. I think if we'd been there longer, but we had driven 8 hours to get there, and
we were driving back the next day.
And stuff. So that's what we'll tell ourselves.
Yeah. Speaking of driving, this is I think one of the sort of just a tangent story. So we had our Winnipeg trip, and then on Wednesday I went up to Bemidji for work, drove up, and that's a 4-hour trip up and back. And I was like, awesome.
No, it's 4 hours one way.
I'm sorry, 4 hours one way. Sorry. So I'm, you know, bring my knitting, and I get 2 hours. I was not driving, so I get 2 hours in there and realize that I finished all the knitting that I had brought to the point where I couldn't go anymore. So, for example, I brought the mitten, so I did the cuff, but to do the next part I have to move a needle size, and I had not brought the other needle size. And then for the other project we'll show in a bit, I had, it's a 2-color pattern, and I ran out of the stripe I was on. And when I lived in New York, there was this thing I used to have. If I was ever on the subway without a book, I'd freak out because like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And
this is before smartphones.
Oh yeah. So this is like book.
No, I just meant you'd have to sit there.
Right. Well, I mean,
do nothing. Oh my god.
Right. Stare into space. But yeah, and so like I now have that with knitting. I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And it was like kind of sad. So we went to the hotel. You know, we went up to the hotel and had dinner, and then everyone's like was tired from the trip. We was back to our rooms, and I'm like, I'm gonna knit. To read a book.
I'm sure there are knitting stores in Bemidji, but you didn't have a car and you didn't...
Well, and at that point it was like 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. And so like I would have had to probably... I don't know if I could have commandeered the company car to go to a knitting shop.
Yeah.
Although I probably would have... Karina, one of my coworkers, probably would have taken me if I had whined enough.
Yeah.
But...
So we had a good time on our trip.
Yep.
So I think I'll show my...
Do you have a finished object?
Well, kind of. Okay. So I'm gonna show. So I'm making a Mr. Fitzwilliams Fox.
Oh yeah.
Which is a Kate Jones pattern. And so I'm just trying to grab it here. So this is from my Cody Knits, Nurse Cody bag. So. It's a great pattern. It's similar to the Bakery Bear pattern, but here's my Mr. Fitzwilliams Fox. He's a little crookedy looking right now. He's been smushed in the bag. But, so the colors turned out really fun, because what you can't necessarily see on camera is that the yarn I used has speckles in it that are the turquoise. So they're orange and white, or it's a reddish orange and a white.
Look what I did.
Oh, good job.
All by myself.
A reddish orange and white, but with the turquoise speckles in it. And then he's got a little tail on the back. But he's also got some clothes.
Does he have pants or sweater?
He does not have pants.
Because
but I made the sweater. It's a little cardigan. So I'll put that on him. It was really fun. I want to make this as like a human-sized cardigan because it was so easy. But I don't know if that would work. So, so all I've got to do with the cardigan is sew the buttons on.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So he's got little, and his arms are like this all the time. I didn't sew one quite right. But
he's happy.
He's happy. But anyway, he's got his little cardigan, and so I've got buttons that I'm going to put on there. So that turned out really good. And then
there's a scarf, right?
Yeah, there's technically I think there's socks too, but I'm not going to do the socks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to make the scarf out of this crazy color. So some of this yarn I know what it is. Some of it I don't. Actually, I don't have. I'm going to do my best. So this yarn, which is the Fitzwilliams Fox, the body. You know what? I'm not for sure, so I'm not gonna guess. The turquoise is a Spud and Chloe, which is Blue Sky Fibers or Blue Sky Alpaca, Blue Sky Fibers. Okay, this is like pulling a scarf out of a clown sleeve. I've got a mess here. It's cotton and wool blend, and I think it was kind of the idea was to make like a summery sweater out. That was the intention of the yarn, or one of the points of the yarn. And then this is a yarn from Montana.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. That our friend got for us.
Eric. That our friend Eric got for us. And I don't. Gosh, why do I not put the ball bands in the bag? Gosh, So anyway, that's that. And then these are the buttons I'm gonna sew on. But one of the things I've learned from doing this, here's the little buttons. I don't know if you can see those, but I think I've shown them before. But can you see it? There we go. So those are the buttons. But the other thing I've learned from doing this is the eyes and the nose are made specifically to be stuffed animal eyes and nose. And I didn't know that was a thing that you could just go down to the store and buy. So that was kind of fun. So that was really fun. The way that you kind of knit the pieces and then you sew them together. And then the little cardigan is obviously just, you know, one piece. And then the scarf is obviously just a little strip of knitting. Yeah, I guess I don't really have anything.
That's great.
And then you've got the batting or whatever it's called that you stuff him with. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Cute. All right, what have you got?
I'll do my shawl now.
Okay,
So
finished object.
Finished object. So this is my Doodler shawl, and it is done. I've been working on it for quite some time, and it is done.
This is the second shawl you've ever knit.
Yes, it is done, and it is enormous. So like,
I can't even see if we're on screen.
Yeah, no, we're not on screen. We're hiding behind it. So very, very, very fun. This is going to be my "It's Too Cold at Work" shawl, so I'm going to bring it to work. Oh,
it turned out so soft.
I know. So I'll sort of point out. So it's funny the way this sort of got built is I had bought this this with this sort of core with the twisted areas. This is a cable. This is copper corgi Carolina fiber ghouls. So this was like the first skein of yarn that I bought that I wanted to do this with. And
that's a giant cable.
Yeah, it's a giant cable.
Like, how many stitches is this cable?
So at one point it was 32. It was nuts. So with a huge cable, you know. So this is and then the sort of first pattern right here is what's called.
You're talking about the inside part.
The inside part is called, which is a yarn I bought on the Yarn Hop, and I actually brought this skein in there with it to match, and this is called Quidditch Pitch, and it's by Knitted Wit.
And you bought that at that store in St. Louis Park.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
Can't either.
So anyway, and then I also bought this, also knitted wit, this sort of bright green, which is called Sweet Artemisia.
That's knitted wit as well, right?
Yeah, it's also knitted wit. And then the purple area, this purple area at the bottom.
It looks black. I mean, every
black.
picture and everything, but when you look at it, it's got
bright
some
purple.
variation in it.
It's called Bittersweet by Madeline Tosh. So that was the border with a stripe of Sweet Artemisia, and then these little picot edges. There you go. You can sort of see them now. Are also Sweet Artemisia with the bottom band and I-cord being in the Carolina fiber gules. Anyway,
Oh, I never noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was fun. It's a Stephen West pattern.
Obviously.
I mean, if you hadn't figured it out already, it was really, really fun. Like, learned how to do picot bind-offs. It was really very...
Thank God all 4,000 stitches are...
I know.
Picot bind-offs.
So yeah, I'm very happy with the way it turned out, and I think, you know, I just had finished blocking it this week, and so... How am I gonna wear it? I don't know, like this.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But
it's
yeah,
like a sea monster.
Yeah. So I'll probably. I like being able to sort of see the, you know, I don't know,
The wavy parts.
the wavy part, and I like the kind of having the cable. Sort of, I don't know. I'll have to figure out how I want to wear my shawl at work, whether it's like this or that. Or that.
Cool.
I love it. Yeah. So first, literally like miles and miles and miles of yarn, I feel. But yeah, it was really fun. Huge. And I think it took me what? So when was the yarn hop? Like in April. So about 4 months to do it.
It was in April.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is my popcorn knitting for the most part.
April. That doesn't sound right.
I think so.
Yeah, sure. We'll say it was April.
So anyway, this is my fun shawl.
All right.
Yay.
So, next topic. I got to meet another YouTuber in person. So we've hung out quite a bit with Cody. Like, I don't even think of him as YouTuber anymore. He's my friend Cody. I got to meet Jesse from Dye Monkey Yarns. From Knit Up and Dye. So, again, Betty Ann being a meddler and a pusher and a
vicarious life liver.
Vicarious life liver. She is a VLL. Betty Ann is a VLL.
She is.
She was like, did you hear that Jesse's going to be in Minneapolis? And I was like, oh, no way. And then I was like, Mom, you don't understand, though. Like, to hang out, she'd have to come out of security in the airport and then go back through security, which is no small feat. And depending on how
much time she
has, it's just like, I was like, I'm not going to ask Jessie to do that. So then Jessie emailed me, and she's like, so I'm not actually, it's not a layover. I'm actually getting off the plane in Minneapolis and then renting a car and driving to La Crosse, Wisconsin, where she's got a trunk show at a shop there. And she's like, but if you don't want to meet, I totally understand, and we won't tell Betty Ann because Betty Ann will beat us up. And I was like, no, I want to meet for sure. I just didn't realize that that was what was going on. So she shows up at my house, and did I say the first thing she said was, you're in 3D? I'm like, yes, I'm in 3D. And it was so fun because it was like, I've watched her, she's watched me, and I mean us.
Yeah.
You were at work. You were up in Bemidji,
yeah.
So you weren't able to be there. But, you know, we've watched each other, so when we met and started talking, it wasn't... We had never met in person and never talked, but it wasn't like that. Right,
it's like you knew each other already.
Yeah, it was so strange. So we, she came to my house because we live right by the airport, and then we went to dinner, which is at a bowling alley at the end of my street, which sounds weird, but it's a fun restaurant. So, so we had a really great time and talked like we'd known each other forever. But she came to the house and she brought a gift.
Yeah, this is our podcast of gifts.
Yes, so wonderful bag. very well-made canvas bag with her logo on it. And then it's got, inside of it, it's got some notebooks.
Oh, what dogs?
Tales from the Booth, with puppy dogs on them. Tales from the Booth set of notebooks, which all knitters need notebooks. And then it has this amazing handmade yarn, or soap. So this one is Mango Salsa, and they're from she's from New Mexico, or she's from Maine originally, but she lives in New Mexico. Gabby's handmade soap, and God, that smells so good. I mean, I haven't opened the other one. I smelled it, but I haven't opened the other one.
That's nice. So does she make those, or is it just...
No.
Just, okay.
Oh, I didn't know the name of this one. This one is Monkey Fart. Nice. And it's also Gabby's. Oh gosh, it smells so good.
Feels like a monkey fart.
Yeah, just like it. And then there was a magnet in there that we put on our fridge, and then there was dog paw emery boards. And then 2 of her colorways. So there's...
Oh yeah, this one's so pretty.
These beautiful skeins of yarn.
And that one's the Grease Monkey.
This one is Grease Monkey, and this one is Wanderings. Rustic Wanderings.
Yeah.
So it's her 25%, I think it's Tap Monkey is the base, and it's 25% merino, 75% merino, 25% nylon. And so, yeah, it's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So, I mean, that's just unbelievably beautiful. And then the Grease Monkey.
Yeah, I love that. Sort of got the...
There's like it's a gray. It's like
got the
gray, but
browns
it's a brownish gray. Yeah. And it feels so good. It's very soft.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
So we had a fabulous time, and I think I'll insert some pictures of the 2 of us hanging out at our restaurant, And yeah, so all I can smell is that soap, but
yeah,
yarn smells so good too. So anyway, we had a fabulous time in this beautiful bag. We I don't know, we talked about maybe doing some giveaways with this, but I don't know.
I don't want to give it any away right now.
I love it so much. And a couple pins with her logo on it. So that was fabulous. It was so neat to meet her. I can't wait to hang out with her again.
Right.
So...
Well, again, I think it's just funny because the whole reason we're doing this is to meet and make connections with other knitters, and so that's just pretty cool that is what you're able to do.
Yes, absolutely. So...
See, then I'm wearing, let's go Stephen West yarn. Always wears his shawls like really weird like this.
Yeah. That's Stephen West for you. So do we have anything else to talk about?
Just our sweater vests.
Oh, right. I've got mine over here and yours over there. Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, you go first.
Sure. So this is what I've been working on for a while, so nothing much new to report on this. It is my striped sweater vest made with blue sky fiber baby alpaca, and here it is. So slowly but surely.
No, you don't have to move.
No, slowly but surely going around. Again, this is my bust knitting, so...
So this is a pattern by Blue Sky Fiber, and the yarn is Blue Sky Fiber.
Right.
And it's wool and alpaca, or is it... No, it's just 100%
it's just baby alpaca, yeah. So yeah, I think it's eggplant and some other color.
Yeah.
That has numbers on it.
I think we talked about this probably more than once, but since it's baby alpaca, you're probably not going to want to...
I'll probably steam block it, but
steam block it, but not so because I've heard that alpaca doesn't have the memory that wool has. Yeah. And it's not, you can't block it the same way.
Yeah, so...
Unless it's too big, or too small.
Yeah, we'll see. So, it's right about, I guess, there. Yeah. So I've got a ways to go. I think it has 12 or 15 inches until I get to start the armholes. So,
did you drop a stitch? You sure did.
Did I? Or is that just...
Oh, no, that's a join.
That's where the join is. I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, that's my sweater vest.
Okay.
Coming along.
So, I am doing one as well. And I have shown this before, but it's been a long time. I put it on the floor already. So, the thing about this sweater... Oh, goodness gracious, what am I... So, now, this is... I've got a lot more done on this than the first time I showed. I think the first time I shown it, I just done the rib, or started the rib or something. It's been a long time since I've worked on this, but it's a Jared Flood pattern, Brooklyn tweed. The reason that I wanted to do this pattern just from finding it on Ravelry, but then in November, a few of the folks from Brooklyn Tweed are coming, and I'm going to an all-day retreat kind of thing with them. And I get to meet Jared Flood in person, which I'm totally fangirling about. And so the Yarnery, which is the store in St. Paul, Minnesota that's putting it on, they'd sent an email out to the people going, and were like, oh, why don't we see if we can, you know, have some Jared or Brooklyn Tweed designs, or, you know, garments that we wear. And so, sorry, this happened to be something that I had in my languishing in one of my project bags, and I'm like, oh, I need to get that out and do it. So it's been a good motivation. Really, it's a bazillion page pattern. It's I want to say it's 14 pages, 19 pages. But that part of that is they give you a few different options to do with the pattern. It's a Gainsey style vest. And I'm using Bare Naked Wools, which is a dyer in Canton, Ohio. We went to their shop.
Oh, that's right. It's like the breakfast stuff.
Yeah, I can't remember. This is like oatmeal or something. I can't remember the colorway. But the thing about... The reason I'm kind of being weird and hesitating talking about this is because I've made a significant mistake on it, but I've decided to turn it into a design element. So what happened is the bottom section, so like the first 12 inches of the garment are well, that looks almost like a...
Like a basket weave or...
Well, yeah, and it's a 4-row, 6-stitch repeat. And what I was doing was, every time there's a chart, and every time I was doing it, I was moving the highlighter tape up. Well, I was doing a lot of it in the car as we were driving up to Winnipeg from Minneapolis, which was about an 8-hour drive, and listening to an audiobook. And as we're going, you know, and then I get through, you know, however much, and I'm like, I don't, so basically it's 3 rows where the majority of the stitches are knitting, and then 1 row where the majority of the stitches are purling. So it should be very even. Well, I've got some that are 2 rows of knitting and 1 row of purling, some that are 6 rows or 7 rows of knitting. I just wasn't moving my highlighter tape or something, or I was drunk. Not going to tink back, not going to start over. It's not going to look as clean and precise and perfect as you would expect from a Brooklyn Tweed design or from a Jared Flood design. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to vary the number of stitches in between the whatever, and it's going to be a design element.
It's like a Brooklyn Tweed seconds.
I don't get that joke.
So like when the stuff you buy from like TJ Maxx.
Oh, yeah. It's the oops pile.
It's fine, except it's a little different and it's not completely on point. Yeah. So, but yeah, I love it's gonna be awesome.
I am super proud of what I've done thus far. So, the yarn is a blend of wool and alpaca. It's very soft. The sizing looks about right. And I did I moved my needles around until I got, changed my needles around until I got gauge. I really like what they've done with the side, which is they have a
sort of panel.
A panel of purl stitches, 8 purl stitches, which if other patterns don't have this, I might even put this in. The reason for that I think that is it really denotes what's the side, but also it avoids any laddering. Like if you just keep knitting or whatever, like the laddering with your...
Oh, right.
Of course, this is knitting in the round.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking there. But anyway, I really like that detail. So I've got to do 12 inches. I think this is about 7 inches. I've got 12 inches of this to do. And then it starts...
with this chevron pattern.
With a chevron pattern. And there's a couple cables. And then some really nice designs around the neck and the armholes and stuff like that. So I'm totally... The retreat thing... Again, I have the most fabulous husband in the world. He's, I'm going, he's not going, but, so he let me go. That's in November, and so I'm definitely going to have this done by November.
Oh, yeah,
because I've done this much.
In almost like 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks. I want to say less than that. I feel like I didn't really have that much done when we went to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was knitting in the car on the way to Winnipeg. So, but yeah, I'm doing pretty much definitely monogamously knitting on this, except for the sock that I knit on at night. So,
I think that's what we have.
Is that what we have?
Yeah. Oh, we should tell them about our plan. So. One of the things, my nephew Patrick has been encouraging us to post more often, and so what we're going to try to do is put this up today. Great. And then we are just going to see, because generally what we've been doing is we kind of do it when we feel like it, right? We feel like we've got enough stuff to talk about, and we have the right sort of weekend coming up and stuff like that. So what we're going to do this next time, But
the thing is, I start to feel guilty. I mean, it's so weird. I mean, it's just a YouTube, video. Like, who cares? But, I mean, I really enjoy doing it, and I start to feel guilty because I'm like, I feel like I should be posting something, mainly because Betty Ann lays a guilt trip.
Right.
Another hash mark for the reason to take her to Portland.
So then we're going to go... what we're going to do is just try 2 weeks from now... We're going to do another podcast. And just see how that looks and see... Because, I mean, here's my deal.
It might be a 5-minute podcast.
It might be a 5...
Part of the... I'm sorry, interrupt.
And then also, to me, like, I always get really embarrassed when I don't have more work done. So...
Exactly. It's like, I don't
I'm like, look, I've done this much. And so, maybe it'll motivate us to knit a little bit more. But also just see what that feels like, Yeah.
I think the other thing, too, is that it might lend itself to... some of the other topics or discussions, that I want to talk about, but I don't ever because I don't want to make a 4-hour
We're like,
podcast.
oh my god, we're already an hour at this point. Yeah. So yeah, we have some ideas for fun stuff to do. So it might be a little less about. I mean, certainly we'll be showing work, so it might be a little bit more about some other stuff going on. And we'll probably do we've been talking about doing a knit along, and so we'll probably. Sort of launch the knit along on that one.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Is we'll probably start the knit along in the next episode, which we don't really know what we're going to do yet. But, and then sounds good. All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
I really appreciate everybody watching, and